I know, boys. Yeah! Good on you, Thomas Burgess! Good on you, Tommy! South Sydney! Yes! Yes! Go! Yes! South Sydney! South Sydney! South Sydney! South Sydney! South Sydney! Go! Go! Yes! 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 Go! Yeah! Yeah! Good on you, Joy! Let's go, boys! South Sydney! South Sydney! South Sydney! South Sydney! Go! Go! Yes! Yes! G'day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Cody, and in today's NRL video, I'm going to be doing a rather unique video which I have never done on this YouTube channel. Today, I am going to be ranking all of the NRL grounds I have visited throughout 2024 and this year only. So this video is not going to be ranking all the NRL grounds that all clubs play at and stuff. This is just going to be based on 2024 only. So all the grounds I visited throughout this year, in which in total I went to a total of 14 NRL grounds, which majority of them, or at least half of them, I went there for the first time ever. And I had never experienced those grounds before. We're across Sydney and outside of New South Wales, of course. But this is going to be a rather unique video in which other creators have done this type of video before, but I've never done on this channel. So I thought maybe just before the season kicks off and that, I thought I'll go through this year and rank every ground that I went to. Now, obviously, there'll be some that people will go off at, and if you don't like it, then so be it. This is just based on my experience, my opinion, and over the years of how the ground is, whether from watching it on live TV or going past the grounds. I reckon based on like public transport, parking, how easy it's to get to, how difficult it is to get to, and how hard is it to get out of some of them as well. But with that, guys, without further ado, just before we get into the video, if you guys are new around here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you guys are new around here, turning that subscribe button will definitely help out the channel and getting more viewers to stay tuned and watch any of these videos. So if you guys can do that, that would be really appreciated. But before we get into the video as well, guys, I will just go over a few things. I'll just clarify, this will only be ranking on mainly my experience from 2024. I will include some of these grounds from previous years as well, which some of these grounds I've been to more than a dozen times, which obviously that's why that will give them a higher rank. And to the grounds I went to once this year, it will determine on my experience mainly, but like outside the ground and stuff, and how easy or hard to get to, I will base on that as well. But I will just give a quick shout out to Nick, to a good friend of mine in Nick from Australia. He did his ranking NRL venues across 2024. He visited across this year. If you guys haven't checked out his video, make sure you guys go check it out once this video has completed. His video was outstanding. Shout out to Nick from Australia, a very good friend of mine. And go subscribe to his channel as well if you haven't yet. But anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get into the video. And just another thing as well, guys, I will be just clarifying on like how this year was with all the grounds mainly, and then I'll throw in a couple of other things in there as well. But without further ado, let's get into the video. And I went to a total of 14 venues, so I'll be going from 14th to first place to the top of the table. But anyways, let's get into the first one. And the Worst ground that I went to in 2024. This ground is a bit far to get to. This has okay transport to get there. You can pretty much only get there by train, and there is a bit of parking there, but it's like a car park outside the ground, and there's like limited space you can get to. This was the first time I went to this ground as well. Of course, I went to the Shire for the first time ever, like in my life as well. And coming in 14th, I've got PointsBet Stadium. Now, PointsBet Stadium is not a good ground for. It is a bit hard to get to. When you get there by train, it is like a 15-minute walk to get to. There's only limited parking, like it's just off the street, like behind the stadium. There's like a little car park there next to a little shopping centre which has Woolworths and Audi, just a bit further up. And just say the experience there this year wasn't good. It can only hold like 12,000, in which after the upgrades and stuff that the ground had a few years ago, and I think, to be honest, I think Shark Park is the worst ground I attended in 2024. So sorry Sharkies fans, but your ground was definitely the worst I went to throughout this year, and not just based on the game. I mean, you had a full crowd there as well, which they can only fit 12,000, like I said. But yeah, so coming 14th was Shark Park. So this was a close one between this one and 13th, which I'll get to in a sec. But Shark Park definitely needs a bigger upgrade. Feeding more. I mean, the club owns the ground, for fuck's sake. Just upgrade the capacity, and then more times when I go there for the next few years, maybe we'll go up higher. But at this stage, I've got to place it in 14th. All right, now we come in for 13th. This venue belongs to one of the grounds belongs to the West Tigers. It is nicknamed the 8th wonder of the world. Of course, I am talking about the one and only Leichhardt Oval, one of the longest serving grounds since dating back to the 1930s, and home to the former Balmain Tigers, which they have merged with the Western Suburbs. Now, I've got Leichhardt on here because I went to there once this year, and that was between the Cowboys and the West Tigers. For the game there, it was okay, but no defence. High scoring 48-30 game. The atmosphere there was good, but there was a lot of abuse between the for the Tigers fans to the Cowboys. I was sitting with some of the Cowboys fans, and they were getting abused badly, especially with my good friend Nick. He got abused by a particular two people. I'm not going to mention who or what they looked like, but he got abused quite a lot, and because he had a drum with him as well. But you're there to watch the game, to cheer on your team, and yet Cowboys fans could not cheer on their own team, and Tigers fans were just telling them to shut the fuck up. That's not right. That's not the right move to deal with. But as for the ground, it is hard to get to. The only mode of transport there is a tram, the L1 line that goes towards Dulwich Hill, stops at Leichhardt and one other ground as well. And it's like a 10 to 15 minute walk from the tram just to get to the ground. And it's also in a residential area, and so there's parking's going to be just filled up, and it's like a 2-hour parking limit only, so that's not good either. But obviously I need to experience Leichhardt more often, and hopefully we'll play there when we play there against the Tigers next year, but we'll see. So it is better than Shark Park because it's also nicknamed the 8th wonder world, and I think it's the only ground left with its original scoreboard, which that's just amazing. And I don't think any other ground has got that in the whole NRL, which that's the only thing good with Leichhardt. And Tigers fans, well, you need to ease up with when you abuse fans. There's no need to do that when I know your team sucks at the moment and you've come off 3 consecutive spoons, but there's no need. So Leichhardt Oval gets 13th. Alright, so the next few were quite tricky to rank, but this is what I've gone with. So coming in at 12th place, I went to this ground 3 times this year, which included the Cherry Shield. So there's the major spoiler there. I went there for 1 Rabbits game and also 1 neutral game. Of course, I am talking about one of the Dragons' home grounds and home of the St George Dragons before they merged with Illawarra to form the St George Illawarra. Of course, I'm talking about the Strata Jubilee Stadium, or known as more famous as Cogra Oval. So Cogra, when I went there for the first time, I thought it was a good venue, and while my first experience there when it was a Cherry Shield was great, but when I went there for the second time for, ironically, another Cowboys game against the Dragons there, which the Cowboys won that one, I had a second glimpse, and like, Cogra is just like Shark Park, except just better. Cogra has got the massive hill on the eastern side, in which the hill's good, but when you're sitting on the most eastern side of the hill, which I was there for, where I was standing for all 3 games when I was there, you could not see the fucking scoreboard whatsoever. And it's only got one scoreboard there at Cogra as well. And same for the Tigers, which they do have one screen, but that's on a vehicle. But with Cogra, it's only got the one big scoreboard, and when you're on the eastern side, you cannot see it. So you can't even see like what the score is or how long to go for each half. But I think Cogra just needs to be upgraded, and it just looks so terrible on TV as well with low crowds. I mean, other than the game against the Dogs and Dragons when that was sold out, they had small crowds throughout 2024 at Cogra. So I mean, it's not too bad to get to from you. Get off at Colton Station. Yes, get off at Colton, not Cogra, because it's not in the suburb of Cogra itself. It's in the suburb of Colton, and it's like only a 7-minute walk from the train station to the ground, and there's no parking whatsoever. You got to like park far away just to get to the ground. So I've got Cogra coming in at 12, and hopefully, I mean, obviously, I need to go elsewhere across the ground other than just the hill, but I've got Cogra coming in at 12, and it definitely needs to be, in my opinion, it definitely needs to be upgraded in the near future. I don't think the last time it got upgraded was in the mid-2000s, I think, but I've got Cogra coming in at 12. Now, coming in 11th, this is a ground which I never think I would ever go to in my life. Now, this is the one of the games that the Rabbits played there, and they had not played there in over 20 years, in 25 years. And this is the other Tigers ground I'm talking about. Of course, I am talking about Campbelltown Sports Stadium coming in at 11th. Now, I've given Campbelltown higher than Leichhardt because at least it is bigger than Leichhardt and can hold more of a crowd there as well. Got 2 hills on the southern and northern end, and it's also easier to get to, despite it's so far away. Like, it's on the outskirt. Like, it just goes towards the southeastern part of, or southwestern part of Sydney, and it's so far away from the rest of the city as well. But the train station's just outside the stadium, and it's just like a 5-minute walk just to get into the stadium. I'll give it that. And for my experience there this year, it was probably one of the best experience I've witnessed going to the as for the first time. But obviously we lost that game against the Tigers in controversial fashion, which I will say we were robbed, not because of that forward pass, but because of other calls in that game as well. But as for the atmosphere, it is good, and the fans there at Campbelltown are better than at Leichhardt in my opinion. But it's not, compared to other grounds, it's not that good, but it is definitely better than Leichhardt, better than Leichhardt, Cogra, and PointsBet in my opinion. So Campbelltown's just a bit up further, but not further compared to the other grounds I'm going to mention. So, and Campbelltown's got 2 scoreboards on either end as well, which that's what gives it better than the other 3 venues I've mentioned as well. So, and I think don't worry, I forgot what I was going to say. But I got Campbelltown Sports Stadium coming in in 11th. Alright, now we are into the top 10 of the best and worst venues, in my opinion, throughout 2024. Coming in 10th place are the home of the four-peat champions, a ground I've been to so many times over the years. And funny enough, where I debuted my vlogs in 2022, it's where I started my first vlog, funny enough, as well. Of course, I'm talking about, coming at 10th place, I'm talking about Penrith Park, also known as Bluebet Stadium, and the ground that's going to be getting redeveloped for the next few years. So I'm talking about Bluebet Stadium. I've been to this ground more than any other ground outside of a core stadium, of course, which I've gone to that the most. I've gone to Bluebet so many times over the years because my family half of my family follows Penrith and the other half follows South Sydney. So I've gone to so many games to Bluebet, and while the experiences can fluctuate up and down, I'll say Penrith is okay. I mean, the best thing with the parking there is good. Like across from the ground, you got the Leagues Club, and then you got a hotel right beside the Leagues Club, which there's also additional parking there, and you've also got like a Macca's, KFC, Krispy Kreme, and some burger place there as well. Which parking is great there. You got the two hills on the northern and southern end. They're great as well. When I was sitting on the hill for both the Panthers Dogs and the Rabbitohs Penrith when I was there, when I was there for those two games, it was great. Although I wish the Panthers Dogs one was better because it was in wet conditions as well, in which there's no cover at that ground either, which that lowers it down to place. But thankfully, it is getting redeveloped over the next 2 seasons. I'm pretty sure it's either 1 or 2, but I think it's 2 seasons. And Penrith and the Panthers will move to CommBank for the next 2 seasons at this stage. And once it's fully completed, it's getting an upgrade from 22,000 to 25,000. The hills will be a bit bigger, and there will be more undercover for the ground there as well, that will be great to see. So I can't wait to see how Bluebet will look like. I think it will be 2026 or 2027. It will be fully redeveloped. So be very excited to see how Bluebet will look like in the next few years when it's fully redeveloped. So I've got Bluebet Stadium or Penrith coming in at 10th place. Now coming in at 9th place, this is a ground which I had never been to before. I never had any intent to go to this ground this year, but I did go anyway because a good friend of mine invited me. I'm not going to mention him, but he will know who he is, and he supports a great team in which they made the finals this year. Coming in at 9th place, a stadium along the coast, or along the beach, which it's one of two. I think the Sharks Stadium is along the water. I don't think it's along the beach itself, but it's close. But of course, I'm talking about in Wollongong, in the Gong, talking about WIN Stadium. Now, this ground I went to this year was round 4, Manly versus Dragons. I wanted to experience how WIN Stadium was, and if you guys haven't checked out the vlog, hopefully you go check it out once this is done as well. Now, I went there as a neutral, but I was in Manly colours, and overall, it wasn't a good game there, but it was a great stadium for my first experience. It was great. I mean, you got the small. I mean, yeah, it's got a small hill along the eastern side, but it stands out better than Cogra, in my opinion. Sure, the hill was smaller than what it is at Cogra, but there was more of a crowd there on the hill than any other time than I went to Cogra. And as for the rest of the stadium, the teams come out from the southern end rather than the usual western end, which that's a nice touch of magic I never thought I would see. And yeah, overall, as the stadium being on a proximity to the beach, that's what makes the view even more spectacular and better. And hopefully I get to experience WIN Stadium when the Rabbitohs play there next year. We only play there every now and then. But I've got WIN Stadium in 9th place. It's a great ground. As to how to get there, it is obviously a long trip by driving and train. I didn't train to the ground this year. I drove to the ground. I was staying in Sydney at the time as well, so it would take me like 2.5 hours just to get there from the Central Coast where I'm from. I only took an hour and a bit to get there, but parking is okay. It is a bit far to get there. And as for trains, I'm not sure about the train stations there. I think you get off at Wollongong Stadium and I think it's like a 15-minute walk from there. But other than that, from my experience there this year, great experience, but I just can't have it any higher than off the other grounds what I'm going to mention. So Wednesday coming in at 9th place. Now we move into the top 8 grounds. Coming in 8th place, I've been to this venue twice this year. It is a hassle to get to, but the team that plays them makes it worth it. And sitting on the hill, in my opinion, they have the best ground with a hill in the NRL, in my opinion. Of course, I'm talking about 4 Pines Park, also known as Brookvale Oval, home of the Manly Warringah Eagles. I went there twice this year. Went there for Manly Dragons in round 15, and then the last round, Manly Sharks in round 27. Now, standing on that hill for both those occasions were phenomenal, and hearing the Manly crowd from on the hill as well was spectacular. Obviously, trying to view the game is a bit hard, and it also is a bit difficult to get to because there's no public transport. There's no train, there's no bus. No train, no tram to get out there, and it's the only ground alongside Leichhardt without a proper train station nearby. It is a hassle with driving as well, and it's only like the only ground to get to with pretty much with a bus. It stops off just before the stadium, just a small hill to walk up to, and other than that, it's a great ground to go to. A bit of a hassle to get to, but the experience there is amazing, and I can't wait to experience Brookie again. Hopefully, we get to play there. We have not played a Brookie since 2021, so going into next year, it'll be 4 years since we last played there, and hopefully, we get to play there, and I get to experience the hill as a Rabbitohs fan. Even better, but for what Brookie has to offer, and they sell out most of their games there as well. Great experience and a great turnout, even when Manly loses. But Manly defend their fortress quite well. So hats off to Brookie and hats off to the Manly team. And the crowd there as well is phenomenal as well. So 8th place, I've got 4 Pines Park. Alright, now we move into 7th place. This is going to be the first venue this is one of the few venues I travelled outside, or one of the venues I went to that I travelled outside of New South Wales this year, which was a total of 3 times. I flew down, my flight got delayed quite a few times, which probably should have driven down instead, but it is what it is. In 7th place, we've gone to the nation's we're going to the nation's the capital of Australia. Of course, I'm talking about Canberra. The ground's not in Canberra itself, but it's a fair while outside of Canberra. Of course, I am talking about the one and only GIO Stadium, home of the Canberra Raiders. Now, going to this ground this year was one of the few things I wanted to experience. Now, obviously, the time of year I didn't like going to the ground. That's the only problem I had with it this year. Going in July, at the end of July, was so fucking cold, and the fact that we played at 6:15 as well didn't really help on a Sunday night. But overall, GIO Stadium is a great ground. It's the only NRL ground in the league that's actually below sea level, funny enough. I think it's like a few meters below sea level. But overall, great experience. I know it wasn't a good game to turn out to go there, but as a first time, GIO, hats off, great ground, bit underrated as well, and the fans there were one of the best fans I've ever seen. So the Canberra fans are amazing. They're not heartless. They don't go off at you, and they don't attack you like the majority of the other fans the other majority of teams I've mentioned before. But Canberra fans are very tame. They are amazing, and hats off to Canberra, mate. And the parking there is good, but I didn't drive there. Obviously, I flew there, but I saw the parking on the western side, or eastern side rather, where I entered this year, and it was great. Now the only hassle is it's a bit far off in the suburb of Bruce, which that's the proper name of the ground, but it's called GIO for sponsorship reasons. But other than that, GIO Stadium, very underrated, but a great ground to go to. I will be definitely going back next year if we play in Canberra. Just hopefully not in winter, please, but can't wish for everything. And hopefully, if we do play in Canberra, hopefully it's a 3 o'clock game or hell, even a 2 o'clock Sunday. I'll take that. Not a fucking night game where it'll be very cold. But, great turnout to Canberra this year. But GIO Stadium, very underrated and a good ground to go experience an NRL game. So, in 7th, GIO Stadium. Alright, coming in at 6th place. This was the first ground I went to outside of New South Wales this year. The first one I flew to as well, and the only one I missed my flight the day later, funny enough, which, yes, I missed my flight because I slept in and I had to wait for a few hours for another flight. But this was the first time I went to this ground in Melbourne. So, of course, in 6th place, just outside the top 5, I've got Amy Park in Melbourne. So what makes Melbourne stand out, or what makes Amy Park stand out more than the other grounds? It's what it has on its outside, like the sail shapes, the colouring. It makes it unique compared to the other stadiums. Rectangular, it was only opened in 2010, so it's only 14 years old, 15 going into next year, which makes it one of the youngest stadiums on this list that I've visited as well. The Melbourne fans are not the best, but it was a good turnout, great crowd turnout, and yeah, we got flogged 54-20. And we also played on Anzac Day, which doesn't make it better. But when you're walking to the ground, you got the trams, you're walking across the bridge, and you see like the Rod Laver Arena, the tennis arena. You've also got the MCG on the other side. I don't know what the name of the river. I think it's a river. You got the MCG on one side, and then you got Amy Park just a little bit further south, and that's what stands out with Amy Park. And the interior with the green seats, well, they should be purple because it would fit the Melbourne's colours. And I don't know about the A-League team's colours because I don't follow the A-League, but overall, Amy Park's a great ground. I will say it's a bit hard to get to. I'm not sure. When I got off the tram, it was like a 20-minute walk, and I'm not sure if any trams do run nearby. I know the train stations there, they're not the best. In my experience with catching trains and stuff, they're not really the best, but the trams, what makes it better, and Melbourne's known for its trams across, and there's definitely 100% no parking, at least to my recollection, no parking there. But obviously being in the city itself, that's understandable, and there's going to be very few parking spots when you're in just outside CBD as well. But overall, Amy Park is a good ground, good game to watch, a game of rugby league. And other than Anzac Day, I wish we don't play on Anzac Day. Will I go there again? For sure, yes, but we will see. And so 6th place, I had Amy Park. Alright, now we move into the final 5, the top 5 best venues, in my opinion, throughout 2024. Now, coming in 5th place is going to shock a lot of people. This ground is considered to be the best in Sydney, in which I will agree that it is the best ground to go to watch a game of rugby league. In my experience throughout this year, I only went to this ground once, and how it was not really the best. And I'll just say this was our worst result we had this year. But any other time I've been to this stadium, it's been magnificent. But I had to dip in a few spots just based on this year. Of course, I'm talking about Allianz Stadium, home of the Roosters. Not really. Of course, I'm talking about Allianz coming in at 5th place. Now, I only went there once this year, and that was obviously the rivalry game between us and the Roosters in round 3. We got demolished 48-6, and I got abused by a lot, and I mean a lot of Roosters fans. I mean, that's expected to happen, but I got abused by Roosters fans more than any other fan base this year, and I mean, obviously that's the rivalry. But overall, Allianz is a great ground to go to. I mean, you got the tram, you get there, you get off at Moore Park, and it's just a 10-minute walk just down the road. But when you leave the stadium, it's so congested, it's so cramped just to get on the buses or get back on the tram back to Central and stuff. That's why I had to dock at a few spots as well, because that's the only problem I've really got with the ground, like outside of this year. But every other time I've been to Allianz, it's been a great turnout, regardless if we had won or lost. But this year, it wasn't really the best experience. Not just the result, but also trying to leave the ground as well. And obviously, this year I walked back from the stadium to, I think went to Central after leaving the ground and get that train because it was just so packed. But overall, Allianz is the best venue and best ground to watch in Sydney, in my opinion. But this year, it just wasn't to be. So in 5th place, I had Allianz. Alright, coming into 4th place now. These next two were quite difficult, and one of them is actually going to surprise you guys as well. And this ground's a bit underutilized as well. Coming at 4th place is pretty much my hometown or or my suburb or my area of where this ground is. Of course, in 4th place, I'm talking about the only ground that's up here on the Central Coast. Of course, I am talking about the one and only Central Coast Stadium, also known as currently Industry Group Stadium in Gosford. Now, this one will surprise you guys as well. Now, obviously, Central Coast Stadium only holds like one or two games a year with the NRL, with the Roosters and the Rabbitohs, or one of the teams taking a home game every year or so. But hear me out. There is a bit of bias towards this. Now, I've gone to majority of the games that have been played up here over the last few years, whether that was either Rabbitohs or as a neutral, and I've enjoyed going to this ground. And obviously, I'm not too far from this ground either. I mean, there's no parking at this ground. I mean, there is a little bit, but that's not what makes this ground spectacular. Now, this is one of the few regional grounds outside, or one of the few regional venues that does not have any grass. 3 sides of the stadium are covered with grandstands, and then you got the southern end where you got the picture of the lake, which is called Brisbane Water Lake, and this makes the views and it just makes the views at the ground even better. And this ground holds 20,000 as well, so this ground does hold a place in my heart as well, because it's the closest ground to where I live as well, and it's not that much of a problem to get to. Train station at Gosford, it's only a 5-minute walk, and then you got the Leagues Club outside the ground on the western end as well. I mean, the eastern end to it. So after the game, going to, I mean, will be a lineup to get into. But overall, Industry Group Stadium, a great ground with a great view of Brisbane Water Lake, even though it may not be the best lake in New South Wales, but it's still great. And when you're watching a game of footy there, you're always going to get a massive crowd there, regardless what team plays there, and a great turnout. But 4th place, I've got Industry Group Stadium. Obviously, a bit of bias towards it, and over Allianz, which that's a shock, but every experience I've been there, it's been way better than it's been at Allianz when it comes to Rabbits, obviously. But in 4th place, I had Industry Group Stadium, and I also had Industry Group there because obviously I went to Rabbitohs Tigers, and if you guys remember, there was a non-televised trial game between Manly and Rabbits. No, we got demolished 68-6. But that was my first vlog of 2024, so that's why I just put it up above Allianz. So 4th place, Industry Group Stadium, home of the Central Coast. Coming in third place, this was another venue that I went to the first time this year. Went there for a total of 3 times, 2 neutral and 1 Rabbitohs game, which that was one of the best Rabbitohs game I had attended throughout 2024. We are going to Western Sydney. Of course, we are going to Parramatta, and of course, it is home to the Parramatta Eels, to which their venue got a enormous upgrade and it first opened in 2019. Of course, I am talking about the one and only CommBank Stadium, home of the Parramatta Eels. Now, CommBank and Allianz are very similar to what they look like. With CommBank, it is a bit hard to walk to, as there is a little bit of parking on one side of the stadium, but thanks for like certain people only, and I think you can't park there in the first place. It's a 15-minute walk from Parramatta Station, or 10-minute walk from Westmead Station, which they're the 2 closest train stations close to the ground. But overall, the views at CommBank, especially when you're on the second tier on GA or on the grandstands on the eastern and western side, great views as well. Yeah, I know it's a bit far away from the action when you're on the second level, but what makes it good is it's like a European style stadium, which we don't have in the NRL really, other than CommBank itself. But overall, I enjoyed going to CommBank this year and look forward to going to many more games throughout 2025 if we play Penrith and then we play Parramatta there, or even possibly the Tigers, so we could play there up to 3 times there next year. But overall, CommBank is a great ground to go to. It holds 30,000. Yeah, sure, it holds less than Allianz, which it can hold about 44,000, but it doesn't really matter. If you're there just to watch a game of football, so be it. CommBank is a great ground to go to, and definitely one of the best grounds in Sydney to attend. So, in third place, I had CommBank. Alright, now we move into the top 2. Coming in second place, a lot of people will go off at me putting this ground in second place due to obviously not having good crowds there, and when it looks on TV it is very empty. Of course, I am talking about the one and only stadium, home of the South Sydney Rabbitohs and the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, which also host the State of Origins game, and also the NRL Grand Final, which has been holding there since 1999 with the exception of 2021. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Stadium Australia, also known as Accor Stadium, which I will refer to that, not as the Stadium Australia. Known as Accor Stadium. Accor Stadium, sure, it's not one of the grounds to go to watch a game of footy in the regular season, because it always looks empty. You only get around like 10,000 or less, unless it's a big time game like with Bulldogs Eels, Rabbitohs Bulldogs, and I guess Rabbitohs Roosters thrown in there as well, but not this year obviously. But of course, Stadium, I've gone to this ground more than any other ground this year. I've gone to this ground every year since I've been supporting my boys, and best games I turned out to go to are obviously the Rabbits Roosters, and also the Good Friday clashes, which they can go up to 30,000, which I would love to see. And when you get a finals game there as well, it's so packed, even up to 50,000. It is great. And to my experience, Accor Stadium has one of the better transports to get there. Sure, you got to get quite a few trains from Central to get to, or if you go from Central or Strathfield, to get via Lincoln to get to Olympic Park, or you can go from Central or Strathfield to Olympic Park if they do have those trains on those event days. But overall, I've experienced Accor Stadium more than any other ground, so I've got to give it some leniency. Now, obviously, yes, we don't have the best turnout for crowds. Usually most of the time, unless it's a finals game or a big time rivalry game, you only get 10,000 or something around there. And yeah, we'll agree with that. But I've experienced it more than any other ground, so I will give it second place, just based on because I've been there so many times, and I went there for a total of 11 times this year, 1 neutral game and 10 Rabbitohs games, which we won 4 of them at least. But Accor Stadium, I've getting it in second place, and I look forward to going to Accor again next year. And now we move into my favourite, well, it's not my favourite ground, but we move into my favourite ground that I went to throughout 2024. I already been this ground is technically going to be counted as going to 3 times, even though I only went there for the concept as well. Of course, I'm talking about the home place where it holds Magic Round every year. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Suncorp Stadium, which holds Magic Round since 2019, except 2020. What can I say? No doubt Suncorp was coming at number 1, just based on Magic Round, and with your team playing there, and everyone, with majority of the teams playing there across a few days, on one weekend. I will count Friday as the weekend as well, because that's what pretty much everyone does. No doubt Magic Round was the best time of. No doubt Magic Round is the best time of year, other than the finals, to experience a game of rugby league. And it's also the biggest ground in the NRL in its rectangular form that can watch a football game, which can hold 52,000. And it's bigger than Allianz. And if you're saying that Accor is bigger, but it can also be transferred into a oval shape as well. But no doubts, I enjoyed going to Suncorp this year. Went there for all 8 games across the Magic Round weekend, and can't wait to go in 2025. Yes, guys, I will be attending Magic Round for my 3rd time. It's going to be a yearly thing or annual thing I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life until... I hope Magic Round does not get scrapped. I don't care if it gets moved. I will go no matter what. So, in first place, obviously, I had Suncorp Stadium, and see how I'll experience Suncorp outside Magic Round. We will see. I will probably go to a game outside of Magic Round when it's Rabbitohs or Dolphins. I've never been to a Dolphins game in Queensland other than Magic Round. Same with Brisbane, and same with the other teams, other stadiums I haven't mentioned in this list as well. But I've got Suncorp Stadium in first place, and the other grounds I haven't mentioned Queensland Country Bank Stadium, McDonald Jones Stadium, Mount Smart Stadium, and also Seabus Super Stadium. And I guess you can throw Belmore in there as well, which Bulldogs play a few games there, but I've got no reason to go to Belmore. Now, Newcastle, I will give an honourable mention. I went there last year. It's a good ground, can hold up to 33,000. The only hassle with there is the reception is so fucking terrible. Like, you're trying to use your data there, there's no Wi-Fi or public Wi-Fi there either. It is so bad. Like, you can't even, like, call people, or there's no reception there. That's the only problem I've got with McDonald Jones. Now, I haven't been to Seabus, Mount Smart, or Queensland Country Bank. On the list next year, I plan to go to Seabus, which we're guaranteed to play there against the Titans. And as for Queensland Country Bank, there's no guarantee we'll play there. We have not played there in 4 fucking years into next year. We've only played the Cowboys there only once, and that was in 2020. And we beat the Panthers there as well in the qualifying final in 2021. So I think it's time that the Rabbitohs go up to Townsville and play a game there against the Cowboys. I mean, we've played in Cairns. Why can't we just play in Townsville? And as for Mount Smart, obviously I need a passport to get to Mount Smart, which I will plan to go there in the immediate future. I just think next year won't be the case. But we will wait and see. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is my list of ranking all 14 NRL grounds I went to throughout 2024. So I'll go through 1 to 14 or 4. So number 1 was Suncorp, number 2 was Accor, 3 was CommBank, number 4 was Central Coast Stadium, number 5 Allianz, number 6 Amy Park, number 7 GIO, number 8 Four Pines Park, number 9 Wind Stadium, 10th Bluebet Stadium, 11th Campbelltown, 12th Cogra, 13th Leichhardt, and last but not least the worst was PointsBet Stadium. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new around here, and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss out whenever I go live on YouTube, or whenever a video gets posted. I'll get this out as quick as I can. It will come out as a premiere as well. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I know this was a bit of a long video. I do apologize, but as expected, I hope this video will go good, and let me know down below if you agree or disagree where I placed all the grounds. If you think like PointsBet is the best and like Com makes the worst, everyone has their own opinion, but this was my experience and opinion in this video. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. I will see you all in the next one. I will be back with another video at the end of this week. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.